Hi, welcome back. This is our first time filming. Welcome back to Everything But the Fairy Tale Sink. I'm Karina.
And I'm Maddie.
We did that completely out of order, but it's fine.
It's fine.
We're brushing off the rust.
Also, please excuse, I got a new microphone, so it's going to just pop out because I haven't figured out how I want to arrange things yet. I also only have one earbud in because I need to keep an eye on my cat, who's just, yeah. Hi, buddy.
Yes. I don't know if you guys saw, but on the Instagram page we posted, we both got kittens since the last time we filmed. Mine is not yet with me here. He'll probably be here for the next episode we film, or 2 episodes from now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot has happened since then. We're going to do a little bit more catch up next in Madison's episode, because this one, in case you can't tell by the title, is going to be a little bit of a doozy. Yeah, so before we begin, I am dealing with university Wi-Fi. I'm in a dorm now, so it's good 90% of the time. We apologize for the 10% in advance. Shall we do recommendations of the day?
We shall.
Do you want to go first? Do I want to go first?
Sure. So my recommendation, I don't know if you're doing the recommendation you told me, but my recommendation is, I know at this point it's been out for a while, but it is Marvel's Black Widow. It should have come out a long time ago, but it's here now. It's kind of older at this point because it's not the summer anymore, but 10 out of 10, definitely recommend. Very good.
It's so good. My recommendation is also from Marvel.
Okay, so we're on the same wavelength here.
Yes, we are. It is the one I told you I was going to do last night. But Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, it is so good. It is probably my favorite Marvel movie. Simu Liu is very attractive, and I don't need to defend myself for that. The whole cast is attractive. Everyone in that movie is attractive, but that's not the point. The point is, it's a fantastic movie, one of the best plots I've seen from a Marvel origin film in a while. Amazing acting, just all around a good time.
Speaking of Marvel, I'm like serving Sylvie realness today with my outfit choice. Also, if you hear creaking, my chair is awful. It's so creaky. I need to get it fixed.
Oh no.
Shall we get into it?
We shall.
I don't know what this was, but.
All right, so before we begin, I have a quote. And it is, and by the way, I'm going to be looking this way because this is where I have to set up my script for the time being. So the quote is, "Monsters are real, ghosts are too. They live inside of us, and sometimes they win." Can you guess what that quote is from?
Stephen King.
Yep, it's from The Shining. Good job.
I haven't read The Shining, but I've seen the movie.
I haven't either. I was going to read it.
I love how you're covering this and you haven't seen the movie or read the book.
Okay. Listen, I was going to read the book, and then I got distracted by my move. But yes, I know people are disappointed in me for the fact I haven't seen it yet or read the book. They're actually both drastically different from everything I've heard, but I haven't seen or read it. My dad is a horror fanatic, and he's just as disappointed in me as everybody else. But,
Red rum.
Okay, I know that it's murder backwards. I know quite a bit about it. Anyways, my dad, he's the metalhead stereotype of the nicest person you'll ever meet, but also likes some kind of scary things. He straight up called it one of the scariest books he's ever read. So whether you love the book, whether you're not the biggest fan, The Shining is one of the most famous horror novels of all time, and it was based on a historic Colorado hotel, which is the one we're covering today. So the first thing that I wanted to do today is examine Stanley's official website. This is going to sound a little bit like an ad read, but I have to get into the stuff that they have officially put out. They state about the hotel that it's famous for its charm and history, which isn't technically wrong. They've got 4 possible stays. They've got the regular hotel, a boutique hotel, which is basically just a tiny little hotel, an apartment-style place to stay, and condos. The hotel has spas and culinary experiences. It's super, super bougie. And then they have history and haunting tours. And if you're wondering if they lean into the hauntings, if they kind of go with the flow, they don't explicitly say anything about it, but they sell Red Room merch. So I'm going to say that they lean into it.
I always appreciate when places they know they're haunted and they kind of lean into it and they sell stuff. Like the shirt I'm wearing is the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. And they know they're haunted and they lean into it. And I always appreciate when places do that, but they're respectful of the spirits that dwell there.
Yeah. And we'll go into more later, but they do really owe their success to Stephen King, so I'm not surprised.
100%. I do not doubt that.
All right, so let's get into the meat of it. We're going to get into the history. So
I thought you were going to say into the thick of it.
Into the thick of it.
Stop. I'm so tired of that audio.
Okay,
Jesper,
that is
oh my God.
annoying.
Get down.
Jesper heard Backyardigans. He's like, I am baby. So the hotel was built in Estes Valley, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is historically, it was a known visitation spot of the nomadic, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Ute and Arapaho tribes. And in 1872, the Earl of Dunraven, I hate this guy, we'll get into him later, found the valley. We all know that that means it's for white people, but we don't really have time to get into it. Yeah, he wanted it to be a sportsman's paradise, but other people were like, hey, we need homes. So he ended up giving up the idea of making it like this super exclusive, like rich people only place, and the village Estes Park was built. Yeah, we'll get into more of why I hate this guy later, but I don't like him. But then 1903, so this was 1872, now we're jumping ahead to 1903.
Okay.
1903 is when the action really gets going. So let me introduce you to Freeland Oscar Stanley, who also went by F.O.
These are interesting names.
It's the Edwardian period. Yeah. I don't have any other explanation for it, but yeah. So F.O. Stanley is the main guy we're going to be talking about. He's actually super cool. And he's like fairly unproblematic for historical figures, so I appreciate that. Especially because we have to talk about Lord Dunraven, and I hate him. Yeah, so a little bit of background on F.O.'s life. He began business with his brother, who is named Francis Edgar. They're twins, so F.O. and F.E. We're talking about F.O. exclusively, though. But yeah, they started this business together when they were 9. And they were selling maple sugar.
That's kind of cute, actually.
It is kind of cute.
It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, these 2 9-year-old twin boys were just selling maple sugar, probably to their neighbors. You know, it's like Girl Scouts go around. You support them because they're cute.
I love that.
But this fascination with business continued throughout their entire life. So I believe when they were in their 20s, they started a photography company, this photography company was a pretty big deal. They got a lot of money for it, and then a few years later, they graduated to their big achievement. So what seems like a natural progression from maple sugar and photography?
Photographs of maple sugar to continue their maple sugar business.
No, automobiles. So the brothers founded the Stanley Motor Carriage Company, and it was actually one of the biggest automobile companies of the time. So the Stanley Motor Carriage Company, this is where F.O. got most of his money. He was rich. And he even helped introduce the Stanley steam engine. So like trains, cars, maple sugar, all the important things in life. Now I have to introduce the biggest villain of this story.
Me.
Do you want to guess? No, tuberculosis.
What a jump!
I'm glad we're back. Laughing at inappropriate time.
Consumption really consumed a lot of people's time in those days.
Yes, it killed like, 20 billion people or something like that over history?
Did you not get my joke? Consumption consumed a lot of people's time.
I get it. We're going to move on. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to talk about tuberculosis. So yeah, unfortunately, F.O. contracted tuberculosis, and he was not doing well. He lost so much weight, he could barely walk. Like, he was not doing well. By the way, F.O. and his wife, Flora, were like 2 peas in a pod. So Flora had the idea to take him to the country. This was a super common
As
thing.
one does in those days.
Yeah, noble people did this a lot because they thought it would be helpful.
Hi, buddy.
Flora and F.O. took a trip to Estes Valley, which at this point had a village in it called Estes Park, because This was just this last-ditch attempt to get F.O. better so he wouldn't die. And miraculously, it worked. Keep in mind, those trips to the countryside usually didn't do much, but he attributes himself getting better to the magical atmosphere of Estes Valley, which, like, it is a really pretty area. If you want to, after this episode, look it up. It's really pretty. But yes, he got better. He and his wife were thrilled about this. Obviously, I would also be thrilled about not dying. And so he vowed to return every summer for the rest of his life. And he did. Like, he actually kept up his promise. So the only issue, and I know I was talking about how cool this guy is, this is a little bit annoying, but they're rich, it's fine. The small village of Estes Park wasn't up to the Stanley standards. They were fancy East Coasters, and they wanted a East Coast style residence.
Like all the
Naturally.
people who are moving to Montana right now from California,
Oh my God.
and then complaining that Montana isn't like California.
Yeah, so they decided to build this fancy East Coast home in the middle of Colorado. So in 1909...
Say Colorado.
What?
You know the vine? Say Colorado, and then I'm a giraffe.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I was like, did I say Colorado wrong? Disclaimer for our viewers, this is literally the first time we've filmed in months. So
It is very true. We literally have not filmed since the beginning of June.
So it took them 7 years to build this house, but in 1909, the couple's house was opened. They didn't actually plan it to be like an open hotel-style residence, but they did want a place for their fancy East Coaster friends and high influential members of society to be able to come and stay in Colorado. And a year later, so F.O. and Flora had no children of their own, but they were really, really fond of children. I know that he famously was like super, super incredible to his nieces and nephews. So they decided they wanted a safe place for children to be able to stay. So they built a lodge a year later for children and their nannies. So this opening event, which by the way was just for like friends and family, was incredible. It was so beyond grand. There was a live band that played at the opening, which was directed by famed U.S. military composer John Philip Sousa, who I don't really know much about him, but he was a pretty big deal at the time. Fun fact, Sousa autographed Flora's piano because she loved that piano. She played all the time. But a tuner mistook it for graffiti in the 1990s and removed it. So that's really upsetting.
Oh, that's so sad.
Unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done anymore, and we do know that he did autograph this piano now. Houdini performed at this grand opening event. He performed in the concert hall, and the trapdoor he used is still on stage today. But yeah, so the men at this event, they shot pool and they drank. I think shot pool means play pool. I'm obviously not high society.
It does mean play pool.
Good on me for figuring that out. And then the women did letter writing campaigns because that sounds fun. But everyone and anybody that was there went to the whiskey bar, and they all loved that whiskey bar, had a grand old time at the whiskey bar. F.O. and Flora did stay there for each summer for years. However, in 1930, the house was sold to a corporation because they just couldn't keep up with it anymore. They were old. And that was when the house was turned into a hotel. Unfortunately, this wasn't very successful. For the next 40-ish years, the hotel's luck just decreased. The place fell into complete disrepair. It was so bad. I don't know if this is true. This is from one of my sources, but my source said that they had to use bed sheets as drapes because they couldn't afford drapes. So it was pretty bad. Everything changed, though, when a husband and wife came and spent the night. It was pretty cold. I think it was like late November. And there was only a skeleton crew there because they were going to close for the winter. So it was like one of the last nights before they closed for the winter. About his stay there, the husband said, "I dreamt of my 3-year-old son running through the corridors, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide, screaming." Anybody else would be like, "That's horrible. I hate this place. Let's leave." But no, this man, of course, was Stephen King. So he was
like, yes, story inspiration.
Yep. He was struck with inspiration, which, by the way, his son was actually okay. His son was not there. This was just a dream he had. And I read that this dream also involved his son being chased with a fire hose.
Why not?
But anyways, The Shining was born of this night at the hotel. Did you know that Pet Sematary was also inspired by the hotel?
Yes.
Of course you did.
I was going to say,
like
you're
horror.
talking to me. You're talking to me.
Stephen King's Night at the Stanley not only changed his life, because I believe The Shining was by far his most successful novel at the time, it also changed the fate of the Stanley forever. Tourism, of course, just spiked up. Money started coming in, and money was raised for renovations, and everything got better for the hotel. Nowadays, like I said, it's incredibly bougie. But let's talk about what you're all actually here for, which is the ghost.
Guess what my small feral rat child did to me as soon as I stepped out the door?
Attack.
He did a sneak attack.
Oh, no.
So he's fine.
All right, now that we know the cat's okay, and I've gotten some of my Red Bull, let's talk about ghosts. Some of which I'm really excited to talk about, some of which I'm really not. So let's start our tour of the Stanley's eternal residence in room 217, except we're not actually going to start yet because we need to talk about the big names that have stayed there. This is the presidential suite, by the way, so like the big room.
Okay.
So firstly, this is the very room that Mr. and Mrs. King spent the night in 1974. I almost said 1794. But yeah, so that's where Stephen King and his wife at the time stayed. Another famous guest was legendary comedian Jim Carrey. He was allegedly so freaked out that he literally could not spend the night there.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
I don't know why, but that seems surprising to me.
I know. Yeah, he was filming Dumb and Dumber, and they filmed at the Stanley, and so he was given the presidential suite, and he was like,
I had no idea they filmed Dumb and Dumber at the Stanley.
I will bring up also people who had experiences there who didn't really feel anything, or just one, but Mick Garris. So there was a bit of scandal with The Shining when the movie was made. It went really off book, and Stephen King hated it. So he ended up bringing in a crew for a miniseries. So Mick Garris directed the miniseries, and he stayed in 217. He wanted to know what Stephen King experienced in there. He wasn't nearly as impressed. He did have a weird occurrence where he was woken up by something at exactly midnight, and he was like wide awake, not tired at all, didn't know what was going on. But he said that that wasn't enough to change his mind, and he is a lifelong skeptic.
Weirdly enough, statistically speaking, you are most likely to wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. with the feeling that something or someone is watching you.
Yeah, he said he didn't even feel like a presence there. He just woke up.
He just woke up randomly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, maybe he had pee. I don't know. He does report being woken up randomly at about midnight, or no, at exactly midnight, but otherwise he had no strange occurrences, and he is to this day a skeptic. So perhaps surprisingly, after all of this we talked about where Jim Carrey was literally scared out of the room, the famous ghost in 217 isn't actually that scary. So she's also one of the only ones where we know her name, and her name is Elizabeth Wilson. She was a chambermaid. This story is mildly upsetting, so I apologize, but like not super. She was going around to light the gas lamps because that's something that chambermaids did in the day. 217, though, had a gas leak. So when she lit the match, the whole room exploded.
Yikes.
Poor Elizabeth was like, because the room exploded, was shot down the floor.
No wonder she's a ghost there.
But she actually survived.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that's possible, but like, what?
Very, very lucky.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, she was reported to have broken both of her ankles.
Ooh.
Along with other bones. But she survived, she recovered. She actually continued to work at the hotel.
Oh my god.
I know, good for her.
Rat cat.
But yeah, nobody really knows why she chose to stick around in room 217 after her death.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No, I would not. I would have quit my job for that. Nobody knows why she stuck around, but she's chosen to actually continue taking care of guests.
So she passed away naturally after this and chose to stay at the hotel. Okay.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, she unpacks people's suitcases for them.
Well, that sounds lovely.
I know. She also is apparently fond of lining up shoes.
Again, that sounds lovely.
I was researching this and I told my dad. My dad has been trying to get me to stay with him at the Stanley for years, and I've always said no. And I was like, you know
I've
what?
always said yes.
I know you've always said yes. My dad has always said he's going to take you instead of me. Yeah, I said, Dad, we can stay in room 217. I was like, we won't be able to get in. We cannot afford that. But I would rather stay in there than some of the other rooms. Yeah, anyways, other than Elizabeth, there are reported shadows that seem to pass through the walls. However, I'm going to be extremely annoying and not elaborate on that because there's not much out there.
See, that I don't like as much.
I don't like that either. But then again, I also get spooked by the light on my fire alarm at night. Are you all ready to yee a special haul for our next guest?
Is there a cowboy?
There is a cowboy.
Who is
Also,
it?
I hate that I said that. So in room 428, there is a gentlemanly cowboy. We do not know his story or his name, but he is known as the gentlemanly cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does this gentlemanly cowboy do? Clank his spurs and yell yeehaw at 3 a.m.?
No. He comes in the dead of night, though. So it is about 3 a.m. But he apparently just, like, kind of chills in the corner. Sometimes
See, that's worse. Do you wake up in the middle of the night and he goes, howdy, lady?
Just wait. You'll have opinions on what I'm going to bring up. Yeah, he sometimes gets antsy and he paces around, which I can't blame him for that. He's respectful of some boundaries. One couple got spooked by him and asked him to leave, and he just peaced out. He was like, I will not bother you anymore. The article I was reading tried to paint this as chivalrous. I personally think it's creepy, but he's known to kiss ladies' foreheads goodnight.
I mean, the concept of it is polite. The aspect of it is very strange because kissing someone's forehead goodnight is not inherently rude or wrong or weird. But a ghost cowboy doing it is very weird. Also,
Okay.
You say cowboy. You say cowboy, and I automatically think of either Owen Wilson from Night in the Museum. Or Tom Hiddleston as Hank Williams. Either one I would not want lurking in my hotel room at 3 a.m.
See, I do have to say, I've been picturing Owen Wilson in Night of the Museum this entire time. Time to talk about one of my least favorite rooms, which is room 418. Do you want to guess why this is one of my least favorite rooms?
Did a murder happen there?
No, I would like that more. That sounds wrong. Ghost kids. Yeah, so these kids like to play with objects in the room. They cause lights to flicker. They move around hangers. And they rip off covers, which is just really rude.
That's so annoying.
Yeah. They're really disrespectful children. But yeah, I don't know if this is the main place that, like, this phenomenon is important, and I'll bring it up again later. The 4th floor is considered to be the most haunted floor in the hotel.
It's always the 4th floor.
I know, it's always the highest floor.
Well, spirits and energy rise, so.
That makes sense. But yeah, children's laughs and footsteps are pretty commonly heard on the 4th floor and in this room. There's a story of a young girl, and keep in mind, she is a child, so she might have made this up, but she told her mom the morning after they slept there that a young boy came and tried to tickle her while she was trying to go to sleep.
Absolutely not. I don't like being tickled, but the fact that this small child would come up and try and tickle me as I'm trying to sleep, I would throw the ghost child out the window.
Yeah, she did. She got mad and told him to go away, and he listened, so there is that. And in his defense, in this child's defense, I cannot believe I'm defending a ghost child, but this girl was around his same age. He probably saw a playmate.
I found a ghost around my age, and guess what he did? Grabbed my ankle.
Ew. But yeah, so she is a child, so she might have imagined it. She might have even dreamt it, but that story is consistent with other stories told in the hotel, or in that room specifically.
I would honestly believe the child unless the child had some preconceived knowledge of what had happened there, because a lot of the times kids can see what adults can't.
And also, children don't really lie. Children are really
out of the mouths of babes.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the concert hall. There are so many reports of this place being haunted, like this room specifically. Florida Stanley herself is actually pretty commonly seen there playing her piano. that had the signature removed off of, and yes, I'm still mad about that. I feel compelled to tell the story of Paul. I feel so bad for Paul.
What did Paul do?
So Paul used to work there. His job was to enforce the curfew. This poor guy had a heart attack and died in the hotel while he was at work.
Poor Paul.
This was in 2005, and I believe reports of Paul working there have been corroborated. So people report him telling guests to get out, and there are even reports of possibly Paul pushing guests out. However, Paul is still doing his job. The Stanley is just haunted by ghosts who still do their job. And
if people don't want to work there, they can just start hiring ghosts for free.
Clearly. So yeah, so I hope Paul is having a good afterlife. I feel bad for Paul.
Paul's the afterlife of the party.
That's terrible. Oh, I forgot we have to talk about this. We unfortunately have to talk about Lucy. So this story, we'll get into it. This story is actually mildly upsetting. No gore or anything, but it is really upsetting. It made me really mad. So this was many years ago, an undetermined amount of years ago. There was a little girl named Lucy who snuck into the basement, and it was reported that she was trying to peep at construction plans, but honestly, she might have just been looking for a warm place to stay. And also, she was 5. The staff that was on the construction workers decided that the best course of action to take care of this little girl wasn't to give her a warm place to stay, wasn't to give her a meal. They threw her out into the freezing weather where she died. But she haunts the concert hall and the basement, probably looking for a warm place to stay, and she's been spotted in photos wearing a hot pink dress.
At least she's got some style.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Don't throw
children into the cold. So many male ghosts are known to get incredibly touchy with women, especially young, attractive women. They are reported to stroke their hair, kiss their cheeks, and even, and I apologize, trying to feel them up, which I say absolutely not to. Yeah, I just suggest bringing a water gun full of holy water, and if you feel a ghost hand on your thigh, shoot.
Are you Ryan Bugara now?
Yes.
Why did I say Bugara? Burgara.
Yeah. So you remember me talking about how much I hate Lord Dunraven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going to get into why now, because
is he one of those ghosts
as well. Mm-hmm. So he actually never visited the hotel, but it is believed to be him because he was very Irish, and this ghost is Irish and older, matches the description. He likes to wrap his arm around women and play with their hair, but the worst thing that he does was a habit he started in life, which is he would sneak into the children's lodge and use the closets to stalk the nannies.
Death to this man.
Yeah, well, he still does that now. He still hides in closets and stares at people.
Double death.
Mm-hmm. I hate it.
Exorcise him.
Yeah, no, he still tries to do that. He still tried, and it has been said that he was trying to watch them change. So that
exorcise
holy
this
water.
Ghost.
Uh-huh. But I will admit, on a much funnier note, he hates other men, and he will try to steal their valuables. Okay, now we're past the upsetting parts, and we're going to talk about room 407. So we don't know much about this ghost. Nobody's seen their form, knows their name, none of that. But they have made their presence known. And you might ask how, hearing the other spirits in this hotel. Well, they're known to be incredibly friendly, which is really, really nice.
See, I don't know what's worse. A friendly ghost sounds nice, but it would also be kind of strange. Whereas a malevolent ghost, you know what they do because you hear about them more often, you're warned about them more often. And it's I don't want ghosts either way. I've had way too many ghost encounters.
Yeah, this ghost just likes to chill on the edge of your bed, keep you company, doesn't really touch you, which is nice. There's just a presence at the edge of your bed, which I kind of hate, but I also understand
I don't like that part. No, just let me sleep. Don't stare at me. Don't be an Edward Cullen.
But this ghost is trying to keep you company from report. And there's a story, and I do actually kind of like this story. There was a little boy who was super, super restless while he was staying at the Stanley. He could not stay still. So he kept kicking the covers off. You know, when you're having a nightmare or something, you just kick the covers off.
Mm-hmm.
And this ghost just every single time came and just gently tucked him back in and then backed away and would wait for him to kick the covers back off and then just tuck him in. And this apparently went on all night of this ghost just nannying.
Wow.
And this ghost also does that with other guests as well, where it will just come and like tuck you in and then leave you alone. The leave you alone part makes it okay for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to kiss on the head. Cowboy.
Better than getting my hair pulled by a
428.
ghost.
Yeah.
Or
No.
pinched by one.
Okay, so room 413. This one's scary, but it's also kind of funny.
So I'm hearing all these rooms that you're saying are haunted. All these rooms are the rooms I should stay in.
If you can afford them.
Yeah. I want to stay in the room with the yeehaw boy.
That's 428. So yeah, they're in 413, right? Yes. There is a dapper gentleman who just sits in the corner. He also, though, shows up in another way, which is horrifying, but also kind of funny. But yeah, so imagine you're in bed, you're getting ready for bed, maybe you're reading a book, maybe you're reading The Shining, and you look out your window, and there's this giant blue orb with a man's head in it, just staring at you.
What in the haunted mansion?
Yep, that's been reported.
I don't like the thought of anything hovering outside my window.
No.
But also, what in the haunted mansion? It's like Madam, whatever her name is in the orb.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I was like, okay, that one's horrifying, but also, like, so comically, like, horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the other ones sound more, like, spooky, like, actual haunting stuff, but this sounds like straight out of horror movie. So this is on track for, we've already talked a little bit about the fourth floor. The fourth floor is just very lively. There's children laughing and running in the hallways.
No.
I hate it, too. There's rowdy partygoers who are trying to find their way back to their room.
No.
And there are many reports of strange lights and presences.
No.
While I don't entirely know, like, if this has been confirmed by, like, staff and stuff like that, and I don't know what he does, where he goes, etc. FO Stanley is rumored to still be there with Flora. I hope he and Flora are having a wonderful afterlife together.
She probably just plays the piano and he sits and watches her play piano.
Mm-hmm. They were faithful to each other all through life, and I am sure that they are still happy together and still lovely, and I have to tell myself that. But yeah, so I actually really encourage you to look up FO Stanley. He is fascinating. We don't have enough time to cover him, though. So at the end of the day, whether or not the Stanley's haunted is a discussion all of itself. I think it is, after all of these things I've had to read.
I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah. Stephen King agrees with us. He is a staunch believer to this day that the Stanley is haunted. However, there are skeptics such as Gareth, who I brought up. And, like, Gareth is a close personal friend of King's. So friends disagree sometimes.
So you and I have disagreements all the time, too.
We don't disagree on this, though.
No. But you know what we do disagree on? I think Thor the Dark World is a good movie.
It's not. Anyways, there is no argument, though, that the place is alive and rich with history. It is a fascinating place. I would love to visit in the daytime.
Nah, you gotta spend the night. You gotta commit.
No. We do have to give a special thanks to Stephen King for the fact that this hotel even still exists, because it likely couldn't have survived much past the 1970s if he hadn't stayed there. And the family actually thanks him pretty explicitly on their website as well. So I hope this episode this week did some justice to this incredible landmark, and that the fans of The Shining can forgive me for not reading it yet.
It's like 1,000 pages, like it's long, so.
It's a big book, and I looked at the audiobook last night, and it was 15 hours long. I'll get there eventually. I will report back when I read The Shining. I will actually try to read The Shining by Halloween, and I will report back with my short review. I hope you had a good time. What do you think, Madison?
You know, I've always wanted to visit, because that's who I am. I like to go to haunted places. I just want to go more now. Yeah,
it was really funny because I was researching this. My mom had already gone to bed, so it was my dad and I before I moved. And I was just like, hey, Dad, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And he was just kind of looking at me like, you're interrupting me playing my video game, so you better be coming with me when I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him I might go. Maybe we can go. Maybe we can make my dad happy.
I've already been here. I've been to the Winchester Mansion, Alcatraz, quite a few places.
That's all I have on The Shining today. Not The Shining, The Stanley. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope. Yeah, Madison, what's coming next week?
So next week, we will be talking about an urban legend that is just a general urban legend / spooky story called the Licked hand. If you know this story, I'm sorry. If you don't know the story, I'm still sorry. It's
Probably
definitely
even more
spooky.
sorry.
Yeah, Karina, you might not want to continue podcasting with me after this.
I'm aware, but I have another story from New Orleans coming up, and I have to tell that. We know I love New Orleans.
This is my tamest story, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Oh, you definitely should be.
We have wishes.
You
have a wish.
I'm gonna be honest,
too.
I forgot the wishes existed.
Yeah.
You know what? Down. I know this episode is coming out once we're already starting school, but I hope that everyone has a good start to their school year. They don't feel too overwhelmed. And, you know, you like your classes, things go well. If you have a job, your job goes well. You meet new people if you're going to college, or you're moving up in a grade level, like you're going from elementary school to middle school or middle school to high school. You know, hope you meet some new people and just have an all around good time.
Yeah. My wish, kind of related, is that if you're moving, your move goes smoothly, your roommates are nice, all of that good stuff. This isn't technically a wish, but this is also sort of a wish. Please stay healthy. Please stay safe. The world is crazy. Stay smart. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. 20 seconds like your teacher taught you or your mom taught you.
Sing a little bit, Alexis.
Oh my God.
Anyways, It didn't work its way into the episode. Snitches end up in ditches. It's not up right now, but you can see.
We could have said that about Dunraven, probably.
I could have. Incentive. So, you know, I had a revelation the other day that it is no longer the mid-2000s/2010s, and cardboard cutouts are super hard to find. So instead of buying a cardboard cutout, if we hit 50 followers and 50 subscribers, I will buy a poster of Loki. If we hit 100 of each, Karina will buy a Shang-Chi poster.
I will buy a movie poster.
And if we hit 1,000, my stepdad Steve will try and milk the plastic cow at Hagen.
We do apologize if this episode started out a little rough. Like we said, we have not filmed in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
And we both just moved.
Yep.
But we hope that you enjoyed. We hope that you enjoyed our antics.
Nice to be back.
It is. It feels really good.
Anyways, we'll see you next week.
Bye. Goodbye. I don't know why I did like that. Ew. Bye.
Stop.